Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé. Let's watch.
Well, I just want to ask of any of the other couples if their person had ever asked them that or ever told them that they would get another sponsor.
That's just a communication error. This is your best friend, right? So I don't know, but just from the outside of looking in, I'm team Yve Mohamed, man. I think this is genuine love. Don't worry about all the religion, the differences, all that. I believe in you guys. I see true love.
Jabri takes the weirdest sides of that, I just have to say. Like, he's very all good, all bad. John is all bad. Patrick and Thais are all good. Benny is all good. Ariel is all bad. And now we're learning that Yve's friend is all bad and Yve and Mohamed are all good. The way he frames things, it's so, I can't relate. I'll just put it that way. So he's team them, and he thinks that, like, of all the couples of this season, that he would think that they're totally in love. I mean, did he watch the same show? Now, they might be totally in love. We understand that the camera isn't always there when they're having their good moments or their just everyday moments. Plus, the show will edit things or even encourage things to happen that are dramatic. So it's absolutely possible that they're, strongly in love. I think it's obvious that they're, well, it's not obvious. Anyway. But Jabri sees something. What do you think about that?
Okay, now, Tatiana, when you heard that Mohamed was inquiring about getting another sponsor, what were you thinking?
Well, it wasn't an inquiry. It was said and Jabri's right, it was said in anger, but as...
Okay, let's play the clip right now. We can see it for ourselves.
Yeah, and I also think that it was a reaction out of anger. I think he has a huge problem with his emotions. He has a lot of emotions like anyone else would in this situation, and the way he deals with it is just so convoluted and obscured. I think there's a lot of emotion in these texts. I mean, remember, he's texting from another room in the house, just down the hall. So, it says something, right?
I don't understand what... Babe, why are you sending me this? You're saying if I don't get the paperwork done, you're gonna get like another sponsor.
I'm trying to figure it out. If that's possible.
You can't do that, babe. You can't. I'm the sponsor. I'm your petitioner. You can't just like come to this country and get another sponsor.
So in this moment, when you see her reacting like this, you would see, oh, she's crying, she's hurt. It's obvious. So you apologize or you hug or something. So I can't remember what happens from this point.
Like, we have to get married first before the paperwork can even be turned in.
So let's get married.
We are, hello.
You promised me to, once I arrive, waiting.
I never said that. I never said that. And I don't want to go to the courthouse and just have that's not special to me. I want to have a wedding.
Stuff, I don't care about it.
That's
Yeah, they're editing it pretty heavily, I imagine. But there's so many other ways he could be talking about this. Just this hard line of your feelings don't matter, you're stupid. Now, actually, I wonder if for Yve, she's watching this for the first time, or at least in a very pointed way, because everyone is watching with her. I wonder if she is like, oh, wow, he treats me poorly.
messed up. Everything's on me. If you cared about me, you wouldn't stress me out like this.
I have been explaining to you that getting married legally doesn't have anything to do with having a wedding.
It has to do with something special.
Because that's selfish.
No, it's yours.
Yeah, it's just so terrible. He's like, that's selfish. And she's like, huh? And he's like, if you're not gonna marry me, and she's like, what are you talking about? We're getting married in a month. What's the problem? So he's exaggerating for effect, but it comes across as delusional. I mean, literally, because you're not gonna marry me. What are you talking about? We're getting married in a month. You're selfish. What? How am I selfish? So if he explained himself, and this is a good tip for all of us, that universally in couple relationships, when there's a fight, there's some version of this going on. Hopefully not this exaggerated, but probably sometimes for some of y'all. I mean, certainly I've been here before. And the secret is to take a breath, differentiate. What am I feeling? What's really going on? What's the fear? Am I saying things that are 7 layers higher than the foundation of the fear and the hurt? So you speak from that. If you would just say, okay, let's say, what's going on? I'm terrified that we're not going to get actually married and I'm going to be screwed. And I'm hurt that you don't recognize that, but it makes sense that you wouldn't because I haven't said it, that kind of talk. And I'm guessing she would be totally fine with that is the thing. But he just does this.
selfish. I've done a lot for you. So it's just not cool because it's
I don't need to hear from you every single
Okay,
day
well,
that
I
you
don't need
helped
to hear from you
me and
either
you
to say,
helped
like,
me with
negative
my
things that
family.
just are stressing me
You
out.
like to talk about yourself a lot, Eve.
Excuse me?
Excuse me? What?
Whatever.
Yikes. Ick. So many things are wrong with this. And you're just like, yeah, I mean, if you're Tatiana, is that her name? If you're Eve's friend, you're just like, Eve, why are you with this guy? Like, what is the appeal? Like, I just don't see it. I mean, just the way he's talking to her, it's awful. It's awful.
Now, that doesn't sound like a language barrier.
No, we've had
No, that
same
was me.
conversation though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still hurtful.
Yeah, no, that's still hurtful.
I get it, but it's still hurtful. But my question is why?
Like, any, to get my papers in to
And I understand, right? But it was like, it seemed like it was more of a thing of impatience.
Okay, now the friend is being triangulated. You would hope that Eve would step in. She could still step in. She'd go, oh, friend of mine, thanks. We worked it out. This is the situation. He said this. But once again, Eve is just being passive. We don't know what's happening in real life, but a lot of the on-screen behavior is passivity, giving up, allowing him to do this sort of thing. I don't know. It's possible that Eve has relational traumas that result in low self-esteem, and she thinks like, well, I don't deserve to be heard. I don't know. There's a fair amount of people, particularly women, because they're treated that way throughout their life. I don't know. She gives off a vibe like that, but it makes me sad.
For me, coming across to America and not being able to work and starting from scratch is a lot of pressure, and you do become impatient, even for us. How many times I sung just like Mohamed there?
Oh, you said the same stuff. I'm going back to Trinidad. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm guessing that for Shida, she said it in a different way. She explained it, and she didn't humiliate as a tactic to get her way. Mohamed, was trying to humiliate her, trying to make her, you're selfish. You don't understand. Your ideas are, just all these belittling comments while she's crying and just pleading, like, I want to get married in a month. I want it to be special to me.
Yeah, do you know how it is to feel to be working 6 days per week and then stop?
Yeah.
I feel you. I was doing the same.
Hard.
But
And
you
I
know
got
how hard it
frustrated.
is to be really trying to make something work and bringing someone from another country
No.
and doing the best you can
Listen,
to have someone tell you you're not moving
when
fast
you are in a
enough.
frustration, you can say things that maybe you don't mean 100%. You're frustrated.
Did you
It's interesting to hear Shada and Guillermo actually empathize with Mohamed. I think they can see through his aggression and emotional abuse to get at where he's coming from, but it's so obscured that you'd have to live through it yourself to know, well, I think this is where he's coming from. And why in the world would Eve hear that from what he's saying? Now, she could have intuited it, I guess, but that doesn't mean he gets to just say what he was saying and do what he was doing. It was not okay, the way he was talking to her.
do the paperwork or did she do the paperwork though?
She did a big.
She's hustling though. You know how hard that paperwork is?
I know.
So you work in 72, then do the paperwork. You know what I'm saying?
It's a lot.
It's a lot of paperwork. Y'all putting it on the Americans like, come on, and give me my...
Hurry up. I'm like,
Hurry up, I gotta work.
I think that Mohamed's ego is really going through it, coming to America and being
You
here.
think Mohamed has a big ego?
Yeah, I mean, that's one way of putting it. The way he comes across to me is someone who is trying to prove something, and you could say that that's an ego issue. I would say it's a lack of ego or a low self-esteem issue. I've thought that too. Like, he seems to really be trying to avoid vulnerability. And when you are, ironically, for a lot of people, regardless of gender, but particularly for men, the more insecure they are, the more they come across like they're not insecure, the more sure of themselves they seem. Narcissism, for example, being one psychological condition that is the direct result of massively low self-esteem. And it's really hard to imagine. I've worked, I specialize in narcissism and in a lot of men socialization related issues, and I will learn time and time again, it's like, oh, that's right, this person who came across as aloof, like they didn't care, all this bravado, all this self-assuredness, I was convinced by it, but here's the vulnerability I finally got here. Next time I'll remember. And then the next time I wouldn't, because the the person, the client, they're just so effective at making you not see their vulnerability. It just, even though as a therapist, I'm like, I know it's there, I know it's there, I know it's there. And then over time I'll be like, no, it's not there, probably not there. I'm sure it's not there. He's a different guy. He's one of those guys. And then it eventually comes out. I'm like, okay, remember, it's really hard to hold on to it. So imagine if you don't have that experience clinically and that training, of course, you would look at someone like him and just be like, he's callous, he doesn't care. Now, he might be a psychopath. I don't know. They could all be psychopaths. But they're rare, and in all likelihood, it's essentially what the friend is saying. It's an ego issue. It's a self-esteem issue, and he's trying to come across in a certain way. But she's equating it with his desire to work. Like he doesn't like being the underdog, not being able to work, which, is probable. But I think it has more to do with his general lack of comfort with vulnerability, maybe particularly with women. I don't know.
Feel that you're being supportive to her even before I arrived to America. But the thing is, this conversation not going to help you to know who I am. I expected other kind of questions, Other than that, I have no problem with you. We can, shake hands.
Okay. Well, I mean, I would have hoped that Mohamed would be a little bit more graceful with this, but on the scale, it's up there and unexpected. And he's reaching out. I'm guessing Tatiana will reciprocate. And Yve is saying, I want to move on. I want everyone to get along. And so I'm guessing Tatiana will be cool with this. It's good. Good move by Mohamed.
All right.
You got this, Mohamed. You got this, bro. Come on.
Other than that, I have no problem with anybody.
I will say that I'm just going to take a guess and say that Tatiana and the rest of the squad will continue to have more issues because of what's already happened. I mean, I'm just going to take a guess and say that Tatiana and her friends are aware of feminism and gender politics and sexism and see markers in him that they don't appreciate. And Yve presents in a way that might allow for those kinds of oppressions to occur, and they're watching their friend be oppressed by that. Like she can't dress the way she wants to, she can't meet with her friends, she can't drink alcohol, she has to follow his rules that really don't make any logical sense. Culturally, they make sense, but there's not a logic to it. Yve can dress however she wants to. She can meet with her friends whenever she wants to. She can drink. She can have a glass of wine when she wants to. It's not a big deal. So for the friends, I'm guessing they're going to continue to see that. So I don't imagine that everything's going to be all hunky-dory. Plus, there could be some inherent incompatibilities between Mohamed and Yve's friends. Mohamed, both personality-wise and culturally-wise, he might have a complete inability to accept this, shall we say, Albuquerque style, or I don't know what culture we want to put to Yve and her friends, but whatever you want to say about the way that they operate and the freedoms that they have, the normal human freedoms that they have. There's a possibility that for Mohamed, it's just never going to work for him unless he really stretches himself regarding culture and what's acceptable. So there's a good possibility that it'll never really work out between them.
That was very stressful. My heart beating so fast.
Okay, interesting. He's talking about adrenaline and a lot of emotional reactivity, but he didn't seem that way, right? He seemed like totally calm, aloof, judgmental, above it all. But meanwhile, his heart is pounding because he is having an extreme emotional reaction. So it lends itself to what I was saying earlier.
I would be like, are y'all good?
Yeah.
Can you come here with me for a minute?
Okay, so Yve wants to maybe bridge the gap between the two of them. Let's see how this goes.
We are good people for Yve. We are her friends and we support her.
She was just surprised because you seem so still angry, and she's discussed this with you
I just
twice already.
felt disrespected.
I genuinely am saying, I hope we can move forward. I respect you. I apologize.
So I was hoping the word apology would come out. Now, I think he has a lot to apologize as well. So, but I think to get the ball rolling, she's going to apologize. Let's see how this goes.
And I want to make sure that we're okay because you're part of my best friend's heart, and her heart matters to me.
Yeah, and the same thing. I do respect you. And I never, even when I was mad, I never said I don't respect you or...
No, you just called us stupid and weird.
That's something else.
So, yeah, going forward, I just, I'll make more of an effort.
I mean, this is great, but it seems almost surface, performative. They're trying, but holding back. They're not really being warm. And this is why, if we're going to use this as a jumping off point, if we could take a time machine and go back in time, I would tell Yve, look, if you don't want your friends, your squad, and Mohamed to hate each other forever, the first meeting is critical. It's a crucial time, maybe even the first 5 meetings between them. 1, and 2, really be careful about the things you say to your friends in terms of complaining about Mohamed. You can certainly gain support from your friends, absolutely. But you gotta be really careful to not only or to dominantly talk about the negatives. You want to also present positives, maybe even a lot more positives to your friends, because your friends are going to be much more protective of you. They're not going to really internalize the good things. They will internalize the bad things. So you might want to, temper the negatives with a lot more positive things. Here's all the good things that I see. Now, it's possible that for Yve, she doesn't really have a lot of good things to say. It's hard to imagine, but I'm sure they're there. And this also applies to your in-laws, to your family. So, and I've talked about this before, but not to bore you with it, is that when your new partner and your family meet each other and you want them to get along, a bond is critical. An understanding, a connection between your partner and your family. Not just that they get along, they have to really feel like family. They can trust each other, like friends, like actual relationships. Not, oh, I got to deal with the in-laws. It's actual people that you enjoy, that you feel good around, that you're leaning into. And for a lot of Americans, I find that we live in this nuclear family culture where it's just like, well, it's me and my partner and my kids and everyone else can go to hell. And not certainly if both people are like that can be okay. You're missing out on a lot of support and family unless you come from a family of origin that was abusive and you have good reasons to get away from that. But then typically in a healthy way, you have a chosen family, you have other people. Anyway, point is that there's this approach to things that is a recipe for disaster. They are living it right now, because it's hard to imagine Mohamed and Tatiana ever seeing eye to eye because they're both pretty set in their approach to this. They're both not apologizing. They're both holding to it. And I think I can relate to Tatiana, so I can see where she's coming from, but it just doesn't, it's not likely to go well. Now, maybe they'll figure out a way and Mohamed just be, okay, go out with your friends. And he's not enthusiastic about it, but he doesn't prevent it in any meaningful way. And he tolerates them and they tolerate him. But it's really a missed opportunity, right?
I would like you to make an effort too. That would mean a lot to me as well.
All right.
All right, you guys.
All right, guys, we're back on the studio.
All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.